heard so much about Clubhouse.
It's fun. I mean, the way we're using it is pretty fun.
Cool.
We're so excited to have you. We've been barracking to have you join us for months.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here.
So Aris, I asked this from every cast member who's joined us, and we've had a few. We had Sean, Keiko, Todd, Nick. I always ask them the same question. I'll ask you: have you watched the show?
Yeah, I watched it. I watched all of them before a long time ago. And
Really?
then when we did the fan fest, the first fan festival, I started watching them again, but I never got through it the second time. So
Wow.
Yeah. So I watched it the first time. I watch a lot of TV. I love TV. So I was like, and I liked the show before I was on it. So
Wow.
yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So
Mhm.
yeah, well, I didn't watch the show. So
Wow.
this is my first time watching it. That was sort of where this whole that was sort of the inspiration for this whole project, was to watch the show, and then I thought it would be fun to watch with fans. So I really don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I'm like, aside from the things that I can kind of guess based on remembering my time on the show, you know, and some of the scripts that I read, which actually was less than you would think. I didn't really, you know, we weren't at every table read, and you know, I just didn't really read the scripts. I didn't really have much of a reason to outside of reading my own scenes. But yeah, and now all these years later, I just thought it would be fun to do it.
So you never even watched your episodes that you were in?
I started doing that early on,
Okay.
and then I just got uncomfortable with it. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I hate watching myself too.
I don't really love watching myself, and you know, it's funny because I've actually enjoyed watching myself during this watch, but
Cool.
I have a different perspective on it. Like back then, I would have watched my scenes, my episodes from the perspective of a working actor, and I would have just been overanalyzing everything that I was doing from a work perspective. But because watching this and then starting from the beginning, and because my character doesn't even come in until season 3, I developed like a relationship to the show this time that was more like a viewer. And so even though obviously I remember those scenes and I know that that's me that I'm watching, I'm kind of a little detached from myself as a person in the show. And my character is now just part of the story that I'm watching. And so I can actually enjoy watching these scenes from a completely different perspective. And in some cases, like I have a totally different look on the scene entirely. Like like back then, I probably would have come to the scene thinking about shooting it and my performance, whatnot. Whereas now I'm like thinking about it in the context of the larger story. In some cases, I didn't know what that larger story was. And so now I can have like an emotional response to those scenes. Whereas back then I wouldn't have had any kind of emotional response to it.
Well,
like for example, this last episode was the one right before was the episode where Zach proposes to Lane, or like the last 2 episodes was the one that Zach proposed to Lane. And so I know that there is a proposal in the series because of my time on the show. But I wasn't in those scenes, so I didn't really know about really what those scenes were like, and getting to watch those scenes and get emotionally attached to those scenes then changed how I felt about the scenes that I was in with him, you know?
Yeah. I think that's so cool, your perspective on it now, because it's like being a kid, you watch TV and you're like, oh, I don't know about you, but I wanted to be on TV and be in movies. But now you're doing it like in reverse, and you're watching yourself, but you're not, you know, you're disconnected to it and you're seeing yourself in reverse. I don't know. Does that make any sense to you?
No, I completely get it. Because it's true. Like a lot of working actors, or not working actors like myself, who is basically retired from acting, you know, that career began as like a childhood dream, watching shows and seeing other people on shows and being like, I want to be one of those people, or I want to be on that show because I love that show so much, right? That's where most actors, where their career begins, in childhood. And it's true now as an adult, I'm essentially doing the same thing, but it's in reverse.
Yeah,
like
it's
I already
so cool.
I was already the actor. Now I'm watching something that already happened rather than seeing something without me that I'm hoping will one
Wow.
day have me in it. It's weird.
Yeah, I like that perspective. I'm gonna start looking at that myself if I see anything I've done in the past. So it's like,
Yeah,
maybe today when I watch it,
I love it. Okay, cool. Well, why don't we get started?
Okay.
I'm going to do a little preamble here. It's going to have lots of information that's probably going to be relevant and explain a lot more of this to you. So hello, everybody. To all of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. This is Remarkist. We're a community of folks who like to watch our favorite content together, television shows, movies, etc., all virtually, but as if we are in the same room, gathered around the same television, passing around boxes of Chinese takeout. And the first show that we're watching together is Gilmore Girls. It's a show that I was an actor on, and so was Aris, but I never actually watched it. He did. So I'm watching it now for the first time with fans. We are closing in on the end of season 6. I can't believe how fast this whole thing has gone. It's been amazing. Those who arrive, most of the time arrive early to these watches, can try and vie for a seat on the couch. Tonight is a little different. We have a special guest, and because of that, we have a reservation system set up inside of our sister app. Well, it's our main app, the Remarkist app, which you can get at remarkist.com. So folks have reserved. That's who we see here up on the couch are all of the folks who the reservation system doled out to me tonight. The couch is this area up top here where 15 of us have little microphones next to our avatars. That means that we can chat during the episode, as if we're creating a sort of social DVD style commentary track. There are no real rules to how much or how little we chat. We can chat whenever we feel the urge, same as if we were just casually watching together in person. However, we do hit our sweet spot when we keep our remarks to what is happening in the episode. We try our best to squeeze those remarks into the air between dialogues so that we don't, sort of disrupt the flow of the narrative. We can still follow what's going on in the show. And when we do have longer thoughts or we want to have a conversation, we save those for after the episode because we're going to stick around for about 45 minutes afterwards to chat about what we just saw. We always avoid talking about future episodes. I know a few of us have watched this show once or twice. That way we don't spoil anybody who hasn't seen it, like myself. We keep the volume on our TVs as low as we can while still being able to hear it so that when we do speak, others can't hear our episode in the background. We're going to be syncing our audio in a pretty rudimentary fashion. We're all just going to press our play buttons at the same time. But nobody's episode is going to be perfectly synced. So if I can hear your episode, it's definitely not going to be perfectly synced with mine. And that's a little distracting. Also, it could get us into some potential rights issues. So please keep it as low as possible. I use headphones, so you can't actually hear my audio on my television at all. But if you don't have headphones, just keep it low. And of course, when you aren't speaking, keep your mic muted so that you can reduce background noise. All of these sessions are being recorded and archived right now on a YouTube channel. You can find that by searching Remarkist audio recordings on YouTube. Some of our bigger episodes are going to be coming to the Remarkist app very soon. If you don't feel comfortable being recorded or having your recorded remarks available to the public, then just don't come up onto the couch or don't speak. We sometimes do have some technical hiccups. If you lose your internet or you get knocked out of the room, just come back in. You'll be on the couch as you were before. If your episode cuts off and you need to figure out where you are in the episode, where everybody else is in the episode, there's a very easy way to do that. And it involves that Remarkist app that I just mentioned, people reserving for this event. That app is at remarkist.com. You can get it simply by going to remarkist.com on a mobile browser, mobile Safari on iPhone, mobile Chrome on Android. It'll walk you through the steps of adding that app to your phone, then sign in or sign up. You're going to need an account for this. Go into the calendar, which you'll see on the second tab there, and you'll see Gilmore Girls, and happening now will be at the very top, the episode that we're watching. If you go in there, you'll see a time code. That's where we are in the episode. Just fast forward to that time and you'll be caught right back up to speed with us. And yeah, that's about it. We always skip ahead past the pass the previously on or the recap always, so that we all start at the beginning of the episode. We always watch the Gilmore Girls credits, so or sort of title song and theme. Sometimes we even sing to it, but we won't do that today. We'll spare Aris of that cacophony. But we will watch the opening credits all the way through. But if you have your Netflix up, you're going to want to start or have it paused at 1 minute and 5 seconds. That's the official start of the episode. All right, how are we feeling? Pretty good?
Ready to go?
Great. Let me just get my recorder up.
John, I don't know if yesterday the timer had also been on their Marcus app, had been like fast forwarded.
It might not have been.
Yeah, I feel like when I was looking at it, it was a little off from where I was. I don't know if you want to try.
It was almost definitely not. That's just something I sometimes forget. Let me get that fast forwarded. And actually, and that would be what, 1 minute and 5 seconds? That would be 66 seconds. Wow, look at that math.
Yeah, I joined in between volleyball games yesterday, and everybody kept talking about things that weren't happening on my screen. And just like, I'm on the right episode. What's going on? So that explains.
Okay, great. 1 minute and 5 seconds. And give me 1 second here. I just realized that my iPad's upstairs. I'll be.
Valerie and Aris, do you have snacks with you? John loves to snack while we watch.
No, I don't. I just ate dinner, so I'm good right now.
Ooh, should we play the what did he eat for dinner game like we used to do long ago with John?
Oh yeah.
Let me see. I ate some white rice with some steak and tomato with mozzarella cheese and basil.
Ooh,
that
that sounds delicious.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Making me hungry.
And I added a little
Like
bit
something
of sort of
Caesar would make.
Yeah, a little bit of
That
Chinese
sounds-
food. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Spoiler.
I'm going to start the recorder. So we are now officially recording, and then I'm going to go into the Remarcus app so that I can get the timer ready. Now, if you've been here before, you know what we're doing next. If you're new, grab your remote, have your trigger thumb on that play button, but do not press it, because we're going to do that at the same time. On the count of 3, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Another dream analysis.
Yeah, the
I like these
dreams
openings.
are big. Oh my goodness.
The
Whoa.
real Paulenka.
Oh my goodness. That's so cool.
Ta-da!
That was cool.
This is a good one.
This is really interesting. So we're definitely going to talk about this as it relates to the other dreams from this series.
Dog Polanka.
Dog Paulenka singing a concert.
Valerie, did the real Paulenka just come in his own suit and do the scenes?
Yeah, that was his own stuff.
He just seems like he'd always be wearing a suit no matter where he was.
Such
It
good
was raining
dog
that
training.
day. It was raining this.
Oh, you can tell.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks a little dreary out.
Yeah, we had umbrellas up for that.
Great dream.
Just saying, Paulenka, Canada.
So
Man,
like,
that
is there
was-
connection with Amy and Dan and Paul Anka? Like,
Yeah, do we know if like there's
I think
like,
they just
what's the
liked
deal with
Paul
Paul Anka? Like, why are they so into Paul Anka?
I think they just liked Paul
But-
Anka.
He's got a fun name.
Dan
and so
loves
was he
music.
a fan of the show as well? Like, is that why he agreed to do it, or?
I am sure that if they had this plan to have it in place, that they figured it out before they named the dog. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Or the people, or it's possible that the dog, because they named the dog and they had to do the whole thing, maybe his people reached out. Who knows? I mean, Dan and Amy would know, but
Yeah, and I would also say
I
that
don't-
like you get a call from like a network television show asking you to be on it. I mean, I think that probably was the case with Carole King. You know, like I think she probably, you know, was flattered by the idea that that these creators loved her that much. They wanted her to be on the show.
Yeah.
well, I mean, she had an integral part of it as well.
I love it when Lorelai wears blue.
I'm a just in case person, but then I end up bringing so much more than I.
I'm the same.
I can relate to that.
You have to be prepared. You never know what might come
It's
up.
better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Yeah, but you
Until
know,
you
there's
want to bring souvenirs back, and then you don't have room for the souvenirs.
you know, there's
That's why,
Gotta make room.
yeah,
that's why
but
you
there's
pack
more.
a collapsible bag in your other bag.
You mailed the
That's why
souvenirs home.
Man, that is an old reference, the gorilla stomping on luggage.
Yes,
Oh
it is.
yeah, I remember that.
That's old. I
That
mean,
Samsonite. Well, what was that for?
it was one of those like Samsonite or something, but it's an old commercial. That's like from the 70s.
Oops.
This is a Dan episode directed and written.
Interesting.
There's no.
Yeah,
resentment with-
So folks, oh, do we know if it was really raining?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really rained that day because remember I told you with Paul Anka, it was raining. We had to hold umbrellas over. It might not actually be physically
you
raining.
Can just tell, you can just tell the wetness is everywhere.
Like from Metallica or something.
But you can see this is shot a little bit later and it's drying up a little bit. Look at the sun.
She just throws that.
Throw the bag. Taking it out.
I love it.
Like a sports injury.
Do you suffer from a locked elbow, Aris?
No, but as I'm getting older, I start getting more aches and pains, and this sucks. Oh,
We all
Yeah, I
experience that,
know.
unfortunately.
I know.
Welcome to the club.
I know.
Aris, do you like to make pancakes?
No, actually, it's not one of my favorite things to make. I love pancakes, but I don't make them very often at all.
Just like
Kurt's
love them
taking
for
over the
boring
diner.
Of course he did.
Anytime Kurt can get a
Did he
new
say that?
job.
Did he say that's my favorite hairnet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so
Like
fun
it-
working with Shot. It's funny because Daniel wrote this, and every time he writes, I get bigger. My scenes are bigger. Like it's like I think he really like me.
How could he not? We all love you.
Alvarado.
I know, right? I was like, what?
Valerie, did you see Vanessa at 911?
I actually did the very first time she worked. She took over for an actress that had gotten COVID and then, or something. And yeah, but I only worked there one day and that was the day that she worked.
Valerie, did you guys have to get a new blue hat every season? Or did that hat last season to season?
Originally there were 2 hats and one of them got lost. And we had one and we had to make 10 new hats. And then those 10 hats were the only hats we used after that.
But I can.
A punster. It's interesting. Rory's behavior is a little different now.
Well,
A
it's a
little
continuation. It's a continuation of the last episode where she's a little cold.
Yeah, she's
Yeah, I know. That's what. Yeah.
Girls never change their hair. What are you talking about?
Oi. Man.
Rory
she's
can hold a
extra
grudge,
cold.
huh?
Extra cold. It's almost like worse than if she just broke up with him. Is this a Pirates of
Periodic table.
Penzance?
No, they're singing the periodic table.
Periodic table.
Oh, that sounds like it sounds like I am the very model
It is.
of
I
a
think
modern
it is.
major.
Oh yeah.
It is. Yeah. Change the words.
Oh my goodness, this is cool.
hey, whatever helps you remember it.
That's a real song that kids sing in school. I've heard them do that before.
What's really interesting is like this is all being shot inside the bus drop. Like it's all like it's an interesting like different.
You see
Like, it
where they
doesn't
are.
fit-
They're at the Zoo Drive.
Yeah, they're on
That's where
Zoo
the
Drive,
golf
yeah.
course is.
Yeah, that was also where Emily and Richard were driving yesterday or the other day when they were trying to find Stars Hollow. No, it's just interesting because it creates a different style than we're used to with Gilmore Girls because the bus is bouncing around. They have to be really close to everybody in a way that they don't typically get very close to actors. So it just creates a very different cinematic style than we're used to.
Didn't Luke play for the Yankees minor team at one point?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Disapproving.
Disapproves of that.
Oh, first mention of Mr.
It's
Kim.
this episode.
Mr. Kim.
But that was interesting. That was the first mention of Mr. Kim that we've ever heard, right?
There might have been one in season 1.
I was just gonna say pretty early on, I'm pretty sure what he was mentioned.
Oh my goodness.
She's afraid of Miss Kim.
Rory's hair is great.
I remember
It
working.
is.
I remember working with fruit flies and genetics.
I really love the season Paris.
Oh, Chief, not Ace.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Jeez.
Frosty.
Super frosty.
Jeez. See, I guess I didn't really totally recognize this in the last episode. That I made that mention that he was kind of acting a little Deanie, you know, but I didn't really see it nearly as cold as this.
Is that when she went to Stars Hollow and didn't tell him?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what
that
you-
was when she went to Stars Hollow and didn't tell him, and I just sort of felt like, I mean, what's the big deal? She just went to Stars Hollow without telling you. But this seems a little bit more than yesterday.
Yeah, it's because she went to
They
Stars
kept
Hollow to
throwing
avoid
in
him.
references to her phone ringing and she's not answering. Yesterday, her phone kept ringing and she wouldn't answer it. And later we
John,
find
you
out
see where
Right.
that is?
Right, right.
Who's
You
that?
see where that is, John?
Yeah, that's it right in front of the commissary.
No, that's the grill.
On the
Oh,
studio lot?
oh, that's what I meant. I confused that with the commissary. It's on the lot. It's that little place on the lot.
Behind that wall,
Yeah,
the
behind
metal wall, is Stars Hollow.
Yeah, behind that metal sort of like plating siding back there, right behind them. That would be the area
The
right
Shack
behind.
Club.
That would be right.
Where the
No,
bar
wouldn't that be
is.
right behind the
It's where the bar is,
Josie's
where they-
ice cream shop?
No, it's where the bar is and the Le Chat Club and the post office.
He doesn't know about
The post office, Antonelli's, and Le Chat Club in the very corner where the church is on that side.
Oh.
This is like the little boy pulling on your hair, you know, I like you.
Are you mapping that out in your head, John? Your
Yeah, I
your,
guess I'm
uh,
trying to. I'm
mental
having a
map.
hard time. I'm having a hard time picturing it like where it was on the lot. It's an area, to be honest, that I was rarely ever there. Like I never shot anything anywhere near there.
The boys are back.
Hey, look, it's Nick. Should I text him?
Ping,
Yeah.
yes. Ping him right now. Ping him right now.
Yeah, ping it. And his hair. Maybe we should have reminded you he was in this.
Oh yeah, maybe we should have.
Penultimate.
Oh, Finn. Priorities. She looks so grown up in this scene. Awkward.
Ooh, you could cut the tension with a knife.
He's the topical graph expert, but he doesn't know how to fold a map.
Embarrassing is really sensitive. Like Logan is really sensitive to being embarrassed by his father, by Rory, by other.
So I would have to imagine the real like major Team Logan fans probably are not happy with Rory in this phase of the story. Am I correct in that?
Oh,
Are there any Team Logan fans on this
I
couch?
get why she's upset. I don't blame her for being upset, but she is holding a grudge kind of hard considering she agreed to move back in.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. It's understandable, but she shouldn't have said that she forgave him if she hadn't.
Right.
Right.
That jacket's cute.
It's interesting. We mentioned that like that Lane. I asked like, does Lane have a uniform that she wears at
Yeah,
Luke's
there's
diner?
two,
Because
there's two different sweaters. She wears
okay,
this one,
that's
and
what
then
I was
there's
gonna say. I
another
was
one.
like, because I was like, I think that's the same sweater she wears every time, and everyone was like, no, there's different ones, but they all kind of look the same.
There's literally two sweaters that she wears all the time. She kind of interchanges. There might be something else, but this one and the other one are her favorite.
That tan one with like the pink and orange flowers, I think it has on it.
Yeah, it's like her little diner's look.
That sweater was actually available on Gilmore Garbs not too long ago.
I love that sweater.
I'm in love with Lorelai's jacket. All her jackets. That's what I
Yeah,
said.
it's
Super cute.
beautiful, especially with the orange.
Yeah. Valerie, I'm curious, where does Lorelai store all those jackets? She has so many jackets.
One little closet.
There's no reality in Lorelai's clothes.
It's a magical closet on TV that's just
Like a
keeps
TARDIS.
somehow infinitely getting big.
Yeah, her,
Like, we
her
somehow
closet's the tart.
Like she had all of those clothes on like the second episode or first episode, whenever that was, when they went to Chilton. She had all her dry cleaning in like her hand. She had to wear this.
At least he said he was leaving.
A mask.
This hits differently now.
It does. I never imagined Stars Hollow would have a house like this in it.
Kirk should buy that place.
Just a rat.
So Valerie, where is this on the set?
I have a feeling it looks like it's across the street from Luke's diner in the firehouse where the schoolroom set is, but I can't quite tell because it's been a very long time.
Brian has competition.
Yeah, Brian and Kirk must work for different realtors because Brian's jacket's gold.
Absolutely.
He is century
Ryan
20.
is Century 21.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, represent Century
Healthy
21.
competition.
Those mustard coats are very famous.
So Sabrina, who's down on the beanbags, wanted to know who committed a murder-suicide in Stars Hollow.
Mia.
She would love
It was
episode of
Mia.
Crime Junkie.
It
Mia,
was.
why do you think we haven't seen Brian this episode?
Ooh.
Wait, are you saying this is Mia's kill spot?
Uh-oh.
Recognize that name?
I do recognize that name. Who is
Look
that?
at her face.
Who was that?
How did he
strange?
know where she lived though?
Mail forwarding.
Yeah, or
Oh,
Luke?
sure.
His uncle is marrying her mother.
Oh, correct. Yep. Washington Depot. Whoop, whoop.
That was interesting when they cut. Lorelai's mouth was open, but in the previous shot it wasn't.
I think it's so funny how Lorelai is kind of acting like Emily would normally in this scene.
Yeah.
You know, and she has like some information that she is withholding and kind of playing dumb. You know, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting how she's kind of
It
like
is.
this-
She is doing the like the Emily messing with you kind of thing.
Yes.
By the way, I really like that coat that Lorelai was wearing. That thing was cool.
Yeah, she had some good clothes.
So there's a murder suey house and a meth lab in Stars Hollow.
Oh,
Was
here
that
is
you?
is this the little publishing house?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Crunching
Was that you,
books.
Veronica?
That wasn't me, actually.
That was me. I'm Team Jess. I'm the only one
This
up
was
here.
shot over at
You're not alone, Jessica. Veronica's Team Jess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Me and Tasha didn't make it up. So.
His hair looks
okay.
so nice.
All right, so tell me.
He
who's on
looks
your
so
shirt?
nice.
I was trying
The
to figure out who's on
the
on
jazz
Jess's
playing.
shirt, but better.
They
look for
shot
Jess
this
than
scene
last time
in
we saw him.
Hennessy Street, I believe.
People say his shirt, it looks like Rory.
He wouldn't wear Rory on his
It's
shirt.
it's a famous photograph, I think.
Yeah, no, people just say it looks like.
It does. I never noticed that before.
It does look like Rory. It's gotta be.
What's the reference? Truncheon. What is that? Is that a word?
I don't know, but Lee just said that is actually a picture of Alexis from a photo shoot she did on his shirt. She just told me that on the message.
Whoa!
I like this. I like this transforming Jess.
And I love his relationship with Luke.
Oh yeah.
Also, he laughs in this scene. I haven't really seen him. I feel, or I can't really remember him laughing. You know, like that little joke that he and one of his co-partners have there, like, and then he kind of laughs at it, which is also kind of a refreshing, different thing.
Yeah, he's very
Not
Yeah,
an
well-
angsty teenager anymore.
yeah, he's
We'll
in a
make
good
you Team
place.
Jesse.
What seasons did they actually date? Alexis and
That would be season through.
Oh, you mean in
It
real
was-
life? Season
yeah, in
Oh,
real life.
Yeah,
Real
In
life.
real life, I think that was that was season 3. That was definitely season 3 because they were dating. I remember during the party scene at the end of season 3. I remember they were
I
already.
feel like I remember they broke up. We were at a hospital or something, but I don't remember what episode that was. In real,
John, I think what you're asking about the truncheon, I think it's a billy club.
It's a what?
Like a billy club, like what the police carry.
Oh, a truncheon. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because the books they publish all
Club
have,
you, yeah.
they all
yeah,
have
they're very
themes that just
obvious.
hit you over the head. They're so obvious.
Exactly.
I thought it had to do with the mean lady from Matilda. Did she carry a billy club? No, but isn't her name like Trunch something?
Yeah, but
It's
she's
the
probably
Trunch-
named. She's probably named for the same reason.
Yeah.
When did Taylor become mayor? He just said he's town mayor.
Isn't that the same as the selectman? I don't know.
But so
And when did he
then
get
why
that
do they have
back?
select-
Jackson probably just quit.
He must have begged Taylor to take the position.
That's what I always imagined.
Also, whoever said that photo
Actually,
on Jess's
real
shirt
quick.
is they're wrong.
the place that they shot
That's
this
what
was the
leads-
same place as the inn, the Cheshire Cat Inn.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
Lee messaged
It's
me
a
about the
photograph.
shirt and said that she's seen it side by side with the photograph.
It's a photograph entitled Priscilla by a photographer named Joseph. I'm totally gonna butcher it, but Strasbo. But it's entitled Priscilla Jones Beach from 1969.
Yeah, it's definitely not a photo of Alexis. I would have
Nice.
remembered.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Well, now that you pointed out that this is the Cheshire Inn, I can totally see it. Just rearrange stuff.
So
in the
yesterday
room.
we were talking a little bit about the similarity between Jess and April, and I don't think that it was really in any way obvious until this episode. So I feel like any similarities that you might find in the character really doesn't begin until right now.
Something
But
I just
there certainly are a lot of them. That's for sure.
I just realized that that poet, the guy who was doing the poetry, he was the guy I acted with on Grace and Frankie. Grace and
That's
Frankie.
incredible.
I'm like, oh my
Oh,
god, that's Ray.
cool.
I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that.
That's cool.
So that little girl in that picture has a cigarette hanging out of her mouth, and I just looked up the picture.
Yes, she does.
And I have a picture. I have a really cool picture that I'll have to post that my dad took in Vietnam of a little Vietnamese boy with one arm, and he's holding a fish and has a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. It looks very
Hey,
similar to that.
that was a really nice little hug moment between the two of them.
Really
That was-
lovely.
That was really like, that was nice. That didn't look like anything we've seen from the character.
And it was so sincere.
It was really sincere. It was really casual, really comfortable. It was like they've known each other forever. I loved it.
Older Jess is great. I don't disagree with that at all. Just younger Jess was not so great. Sorry, guys.
Well, in his defense, younger John Cabrera wasn't that great either.
I don't believe that.
I just mean because Jess like was all about the chase, and then when he got together with Rory, he was not all that into the relationship.
Well, disagree.
That's fine. We don't have to agree. That's
John,
fine.
just wait for
Is
it.
it kind of nighttime there and daytime here? Don't they usually try to keep like the scenes the same time of day?
I think what's really interesting is the fact that it's now there's wet streets again, right? This is a different day, but clearly it's the same day of shooting that they shot scenes from days earlier.
Emily's so sweet here.
That's true, John, because they only used me for one day, so you know they're gonna shoot both my scenes that day.
Correct.
Maybe Jess's bookshop event was like early to late afternoon. So it's just not dark yet.
Bonding with it again. Emily looks at a child and calls it it.
Yeah, she's bad like that.
Just how she used to
Oh,
call
jeez.
me the Asian friend.
Isn't this the best line, John?
Oof.
Mutually decided.
Yikes.
This breaks my heart.
Deep cut from Emily. She's not wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say Emily's spot on there.
Yeah, I totally am with Emily in this completely.
Emily must not like children unless they're like her blood relatives.
I mean, just
I know.
For Caesar.
In that moment, Emily is a lot like Amy. And Amy is not much for kids.
Aris, I'm just jealous you got yelled at by Kelly Bishop. That's amazing.
It's always great. It's always good.
That was great expression.
Iconic.
So I'm guessing that Rory is going to likely hook up with Jess in this episode. This is
I
my
mean, he
prediction.
looks so good in that jacket.
My prediction is they are going to hook up.
He does have nice hair this episode. I like his hair.
It's a lot better
Same.
than the last episode we saw.
Yeah, less shade. Definitely a different chemistry than her and Logan.
Yeah. I would like to see Rory not hook up with him. I'm hoping that happens.
Her version of maturity.
Oh,
do you think?
there it goes. I guess I lost that.
Or did you?
Well, I mean, I won in that I predicted it, but I was hoping that. Oh, okay. I was right-ish. I was right-ish.
Jess said, so you're here alone?
Yeah, I think when he asked if everything was taken care of, he thought that she broke up with him.
Oh man. Oh no.
Poor Jess.
I feel bad for him, man.
I thought everything was fixed.
Oh. Oh my gosh. It's awful.
She's always treating the guys like dirt.
Ugh.
He's kind of outgrown her in a little way. You know, he's a little bit more advanced.
Like,
I agree.
Definitely.
I'm glad he established that boundary and said, like, I don't deserve this. That is growth.
And at least
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, my heart.
Oh my
Yeah, they're
goodness.
definitely in different places in their life.
Yes. Wow. I'm eager to talk about all that. That was very cool, but very sad. And I'm disappointed in Rory. I'm disappointed that she came there, that she went there. She didn't need to. I'm glad that she didn't really give in to that moment. But she is sort of in love with him, so in love with Logan, so of course she wouldn't. Man, there's a lot in that scene.
To catch that, April called Luke her dad.
Yeah, it was very cute.
All right, Valerie, where did you guys
Oh
find
my
this thing?
goodness.
I
That's a
love
moo
the dress.
That's a moo
Brenda made this, and there's quite the story.
It's a song.
This was
One
the
of a time.
perfect
There's
music
pants.
pairing.
It's got
Got
pants.
Oh my god, the fact that John called it a moo that's hilarious.
That must
Now
be
I'm
like
just
10
thinking of-
I would
layers
have
of
poured
fabric.
coffee on it too.
That's a lot of
Yikes.
fabric
it's
on
over
that
already.
Wow.
Yeah, that was so
Um,
quick.
That was yeah, a very, very fast episode. I want to remember that I want to talk about that dress moment there at the very end. We're definitely going to talk a lot about the whole Jess thing and coming to Philadelphia and all of that. Let me get some folks here up onto the couch to join us for the second half. If you did not reserve for the post show, you only reserved for the watch, please bring yourself back down to the audience for me. I don't have a way to see that in the app, but please do so. All right, so we're going in, and if you can help me again the way that you did before, I'm going to call these names out. We've got Sandra, Julie, Bradlow, and Marla. Oh, wait, let me open the couch. Sorry about that. Once again. Sorry. All right.
I was just wondering
Sandra.
about that.
Yeah, Sandra. Yeah, there we go. 1, 2, and 3. Great. Thank you. Sorry, Lee. I did it again. Sandra, Julie, and Marla. Okay. Elle, Sherry, and April Miller. Sherry, April Miller.
Hello.
And Elle. There we go. Great.
Hi, Valerie. Hi, Aris.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everybody
2,
else.
3. Okay. And that is it. That should be our full 21. Yep, it is. Great. All right. We're closing off the couch. For those of you who did not make it onto the couch, I'm very sorry. I know we had a lot of people here wanting to hang with us, but I will open the couch afterwards for those of you after, well, we have Aris for another 45 minutes or so, and then afterwards I'll open the couch for everyone. Where should we begin? This episode was juicy.
I think that we should begin with Lorelai wasting coffee on that dress.
Okay, well, I definitely want to talk. I definitely want to talk about what is arguably Caesar's biggest episode, for sure.
Oh yeah, that's great.
You were awesome, man.
Oh, thank you.
This is something that I've mentioned to pretty much every cast member who's come onto the show. But as I'm watching this, because I'm now watching this like sort of and experiencing it from the perspective of a fan, just somebody enjoying this, I'm now seeing performances and getting attached to characters played by actors who I've gotten to know through the years during fan fests and at, you know, events for the show. And I feel like I knew all of you, but I just didn't have any idea of what you did in the show. And now, as I'm falling in love with all of these characters, there's a part of me that wishes that I had watched the show back when we were doing it so that I could kind of fanboy a little bit over all of the different actors that were playing all of these wonderful characters the way that fans, you know, do when we're at fan festivals. And Cesear is definitely just such a wonderful, wonderful character on the show, and you did such an amazing job with it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's one of the best characters.
We love him.
Oh,
We love
God.
Aris.
Oh.
Beloved.
Well, it is the writing. The writing's so good. I mean, and like watching it now again, it's like what you're saying about me. I'm like thinking about, you know, the Life and Death Brigade with, you know, Tank and Alan and
yeah,
and I'm like, wow, I know these guys now, you know, and I haven't watched the episodes since I met them, and they become
so
friends
cool,
too. And I'm like,
that's
oh
cool.
wow. I'm like, oh yeah, well, that's what, because I've seen the episodes before, but I didn't know them.
Right,
So
exactly.
It's like now it's like, oh, I know these guys. Wow, yeah.
And for me, it's sort of the opposite, right? For me, it's like I knew
Yes.
them, but I just didn't really know them to be anything other than just my coworkers, you know, or just people that I had a relationship to because we both did the same show, right? And whereas, like, if I had watched the show, I'd been watching the show, you know, I probably would have had that kind of feeling of like excitement when I saw them, like, oh my gosh, that's you know, Robert, or that's, you know, Colin, or, you know. And so there's a part of me that like kind of regrets that, especially given the fact that, like, you know, I've spent so much time with a lot of you guys at FanFest, you know.
Yeah.
And there's like I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like Olivia, for example. You know, I hung out with Olivia a bunch at FanFest. I really had no idea what she even was in the show. Like I didn't even know. And her character is absolutely awesome, like absolutely awesome. And I just didn't, I mean, I hope that she's at a fan festival so I can tell her how freaking awesome she was, but I couldn't even really tell her anything about, you know, how I felt.
And she's so polar opposite from what she is in real life.
Oh my God.
Like she's so polar.
Completely different.
Aris, can I
Anyway.
ask you about a fan theory on your character?
Sure.
Is the fan theory about Cesear true that he went to Chilton, or were you just did you happen to be an extra back then, or is that not
No,
you?
no. Well, I mean, that was me. The story I have, and I was a background at that, but the story that I have that he was, I was background. I wasn't on the show yet.
When you watch it again, John, you're gonna see him. Like the first time you don't see him, but then when you watch it again, you're like, that's Caesar.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's like you see me like right there in the front row and everything. It's like
At the dance.
At the dance, yeah. But the theory I have is that he was there on like dating, like he was there on a date with someone that went to Chilton. I didn't go there. I don't know. Yeah.
But wait a second. So when you came in to audition for the role of Cesear, did they know that you were background talent on that day?
Hell no.
Oh my God.
I'm not gonna say
Amazing.
anything. I'm gonna say anything, man.
That is unbelievable. I had no idea. That's first of all, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It is also awesome that you did not tell them that, because that could have potentially affected whether they would have hired you.
Yeah. Well, I also didn't audition for Cesear originally. I auditioned for a different part that they cut. And it was I don't know, John, it was the episode in the hockey episode. And they go to the hockey game, and there's a scene where Lorelai's talking on the phone and everybody left. After she gets off the phone, I'm supposed to come down the stairs, and I was part of the people visiting Dulce, and I go, Dulces, I don't está. I have like a Spanish line. It's like one line in Spanish, and that's what my part was. And then they cut that, and then they called me 2 months later and just gave me Cesear.
Wait,
so cool.
That's awesome. Wait, so you actually shot that episode?
Yeah, I shot another episode with a different character that was a foreign exchange student that was part of Dulce's family. And They cut that episode. Yeah.
And that was the hockey match.
The hockey match. Yeah, they all went to the hockey game. They left me behind at the I think Dragonfly.
That is amazing. So
It must have liked
this
you.
this is what I'm gonna guess happened. So you probably so you auditioned for Mara and Jamie, right?
Yes.
Right.
Amy was in the room. Amy was in the room too. Amy was in the room. Daniel was in the room when I went in. And I auditioned and I said my one line and they cracked up and I left and I was driving home and that's when they got the call that I got the part.
Do you remember what the line was, Iris?
Yeah, y los doses a donde está, which is where are the doses? So they left me behind. Lorelai looks at me like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do with this guy? You know?
Oh my God, that's brilliant. And so that's that's so cool because that is a trend throughout the series. It seems like a few different actors have talked about how they auditioned for a different role.
Yeah.
And either they got it, in your case, you got it, and then it was cut. Like in my case, I auditioned for a different role. I didn't get it, but then they wanted me to come back in for another role, which is just interesting for actors to know in general that like, just because you don't get a role doesn't mean that they didn't like you or that they aren't thinking about you. And of course, also in the case of like a lot of that happens to a lot of actors where you actually get cast in the role and then you shoot it and then your stomach just drops when you watch the episode and realize, or the movie, and realize that you've been completely cut from the film. Because then that gets in your head. Then you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, did they pay me a bunch of money and I was so bad that I actually took money from them and then they hated me enough that they got rid of me. So that can really get in your head. And so even that isn't necessarily the case. So in your case, as in my case, right? Like they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't think that scene ended up being right for it. Maybe they didn't have enough time or whatever, but they loved you. And then of course, the role of Caesar comes up, and I'm sure that Mara and Jamie were just like, we know him. Like we know what he can do. He was on set. We loved working with him. He was really great. Like we don't need to bring this guy in, do we? You know? And they were like, no, just give it to him. Just give it to him.
But this is funny because a friend of mine who's a girl, she had auditioned for Caesar.
Oh,
that's
she came up to me. She goes, I auditioned for your role. And I was like, really? Because I didn't. They just gave it to me. She actually went in to read for Caesar.
Oh, wow.
So they were going to go girl or guy. They were going to go girl or guy. And then they just gave it to me, I guess.
It's also really interesting that in both of your cases, had you gotten the first role, it would have been just a one episode.
Yeah, totally.
But
And
you both ended up getting recurring.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Better role.
That's right.
Real quick. Hey, real quick on that. Anytime anyone came in for one quick role, it was never ever one quick role. Like Bootsy was only supposed to be there one day, yet he repeated multiple times. If they liked the actor and they performed well, they would bring them back. That's how that works.
Yeah, that's true.
Now,
that's true.
Caesar's role would have been isolated to that one moment because there wouldn't have been really another reason why they could bring him.
Yeah.
And the role that I originally auditioned for, at least the audition, at least the sides that I read, it seemed like a bigger role. I remember that character had more lines than Brian did in his first episode. So Brian, I remember feeling like the Brian character was a smaller role and probably wasn't going to come back again. And it was just one line. And it just really goes to show that like, it has so little to do with like the number of lines you have or how many scenes you have or whether or not you got the role or whether or not they cut it from, it's just, it really.
Also, they did not care if you were in an episode. If they liked you and they wanted to bring you back, they would as a different role. It just, they like their core group of actors.
That's right.
Look at every other show that they've done. They've brought all the actors back.
I've noticed that too.
They keep bringing people back. And I would never be shocked or surprised that other actors from Gilmore Girls will be on Maisel just because of how loyal they are. And they know the quality of what these people are able to
I
do and
noticed that
say
with
lines.
Bun Hits too. They did a lot of the same actors. They liked a lot of the same actors, and they had a lot of similar actors in there too. You
Yeah.
see a lot of the same faces.
Yeah. They did do that. They're really good like that, and they're very much like a family. Like, they believe in creating a sort of family environment there. All right, let's chat about that last moment. Let's start there. I was expecting that Lorelai was going to, especially with the music, like, I felt like Lorelai was going to figure out a way to turn that hideous thing into something freaking awesome. And so I was a little disappointed that she did that.
But you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
yet.
you don't know
All we
yet.
saw is that
Just
coffee
don't
got
say anything.
poured
That's
on
how
it.
you feel, John.
But
That's how
I
you feel
think
about the
that-
dress, right?
So I think that coffee moment is representation of her frustration with everything. Like, it's the fight with her mom, the April situation. She looked at something hideous and decided, hey, this is the one thing I can change and get rid of. And she just threw the coffee as like a cathartic movement for everything that she's.
Yeah, I get
Guys,
it,
it
but
looks
it's
like
I
10
get
layers
it,
of
but it's not
fabric.
her. It's not hers to do that too. That I guess that's the only reason why I was disappointed in it. I don't really know what's to come, so it's very possible that throwing the coffee on there is one step towards turning into some really cool avant-garde coffee dress. But
Lane wanted her to burn it.
Yeah,
but
but
Lane wants her
asked her
to.
to destroy it.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't matter though. It's not really. It's
all about
neither
the
of their.
Hamiltons.
It's neither. Like, that wedding dress is Mrs. Kim's wedding dress. Like,
An
at the
heirloom.
But
Yeah,
but
like, at the
now
very
it'll be
least,
Lane. Once
yeah,
Lane
it
wears
doesn't matter.
it, it'll be.
Like, if Lane doesn't want it, I don't feel like Lane should burn it. I don't think that, I think that what they need to do is both have the courage, or Lane have the courage to be like, I'm not wearing it. Sorry, here, I need to give it back to you, because if I keep it in my possession, I will throw it in the garbage. And I don't want to do that because it belongs to you. You're giving it to me and I don't want it. So I'm giving it back to you so that you don't
Also,
lose this heirloom thing.
You have to
Like that,
remember,
I don't know,
Lorelai
I don't
wasn't
want
going
to
to
mess
back
with that.
down from altering the dress. Lane said like she was going to bribe her with like the Hamiltons, as we remember, but Lorelai was like very firm, and she said, "No, I'm not going to do anything to the dress. This, that, and the other." Right? And then like here we go towards the end, and she basically ruins it. Right? So I could see where you're getting at, John.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way a little bit, especially since I feel like that's a moment. Take all of that like angst and anger and make that cathartic moment a freaking awesome, rad ass, like, I've transformed this dress into something incredible. I don't know. That's what I wanted. That's not what happened. It just ended up being like just an angry button on the scene, which that's not my preference for the way that it should have ended.
Well, another way to look at it though is I always love Lorelai and Lane's relationship. They're very similar in that, they're both rebellious against their parents in a way. And I kind of always love that moment for like, that's her like Lane solidarity moment too, where it's like, it's very rock and roll to throw that coffee at the dress, and it's like it's almost like a little win for Lane. And like, I see what you're saying about
If she
it's not
wears the
hers
dress,
to ruin.
if she wears the dress, I'm cool with it. If she wears a coffee stained dress as like a statement of rock and roll, or some derivative of it, then it's cool. Then suddenly I have a new perspective on that moment. But if it's really literally just you know what, I can't save this thing, I'm so frustrated with the world, screw it, this thing's going in the garbage, that I'm not cool.
Lane's really
So
tiny.
do you
so it'll-
remember her dress from the wedding, John, or no?
Very like vaguely. I felt like I was trying to remember it, and I thought it looked kind of elaborate. So I sort of thought that it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Mrs. Kim's dress, because as soon as she came in and said, "I need you to alter this for Lane," I thought, what was Lane wearing? And then I like kind of my brain started going back, trying to think back, and all I could picture was like a very I didn't I couldn't imagine something super rock and roll. I kind of imagined something very traditional and so then I thought that it was going to be Mrs. Kim's dress.
Valerie,
But I don't remember it looking like a muumuu, so.
Did you say you had a story about the dress, Valerie? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, John.
Oh, no worries. I was done. Valerie, did you have a story on this?
Well, I think it was made, you know, when they put that dress in the big garment bag, they basically wanted it as big as humanly possible, absurdly big. When Brenda thought she had it as big as she could possibly make it, and Amy was like, no, I want it bigger. They wanted that thing to be gigantic and absurd.
Like it would swallow
the thing that you saw. Yeah, and well, just that it just was like, they just wanted it to be absurd, you know, absurd, the amount of fabric that was used. I mean, it was so
Did they
puffy.
ask you where they got the dress? Have they, I don't know, maybe I missed that, but where you got it?
We made it. We're a costume department, so Brenda had
wow.
it made. So when we were in the process of making it, and when I say we, I mean Brenda having it made, Amy would look at it at different stages, and they had to add more and more and more fabric to it to create the girth to it. I mean, it's a hideous dress, and the fact that
it's big, yeah,
Mrs. Kim would expect her to wear this thing, and
with pants,
you know,
well, it's
with pants,
extremely conservative too, if you think about it, because it's of the way it's it covers everything.
But it wasn't, they weren't making the dress as big as possible so that it would like, wait, no, hold on. That they weren't making it as big as possible so that it would like make the garment bag look big. You can just stuff that with pillows. It was just for that it was just for that last scene to make it big.
They wanted it to be as absurdly huge to look
I know,
at.
but the point I'm making is that only for the scenes where you can actually see it, because you had said something about how they wanted it to make the garment bag super big, and I'm thinking, well, they don't need the dress to be in the garment bag. They can put anything.
The dress was in the garment bag, but in order for it to look like the dress was in the garment bag, you have to make it look like the dress was as big as possible to fit that garment bag. So it's kind of hand in hand. You couldn't just pull something out and have it be 2 layers of fabric.
Oh, but did we actually watch her pull that out?
No, but the real dress was in there, but I think they actually added even more fabric to it once they pulled it out of the garment bag.
I know. I guess what I'm basically saying is that if we don't actually see her pull it out of the garment bag, then
for sure, but it still had to fit. It had to look like it would have been in that garment bag, and that it would have created the girth of the bag.
Got it. It had to be big enough to actually be believable that whatever was in the garment bag, which I guess was the dress, was that it was big. I got it.
And in reality, the dress was actually bigger outside the garment bag than it was ever inside the garment bag.
Well, so Lorelai only ruined the top layer fabric.
Whatever happens to the dress, we won't know. What happens to the dress, because it's not quite ready. We're not out there. We don't want to spoil anything.
She gasps when she looks at it, you know. So
yeah, I mean, it was horrific. It needed to be a piece of humor that, and it was quite funny, wasn't it?
It definitely was a good piece of humor.
Yeah, I suppose. What episode? How many more episodes before we actually have the actual wedding?
I believe that's on that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I'll try to pop in, maybe just for the comment. Oh no, I guess I should come in for the whole thing. I'm just trying to think of what I have to do. I'll try to pop in. If you guys want to remind me, give me a heads up. And if I can only pop in for the last part, that's fine. But I have a lot of stories about the wedding. Like a lot.
So really quick. So the episode is tomorrow, and I've been texting with Todd, and he has a conflict. He has a conflict that makes it hard for him to be at the episode tomorrow, and he said he might be able to to do it if we started at 6 p.m. rather than at 7. But that also means that he may not even be able to stay for the post show. And he also asked whether he was featured in the episode, which I think is kind of odd. Of course he's featured in the episode. It's his wedding episode, but I'll clarify that. But I guess that's something that I'll sort of put to the community, whether or not we would want to start at 6 p.m. tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific time, in order to have Todd join us. It might be a little too complicated, and like I said, just from the sound of it, it sounds like it may be really tight. He has something that he said he had to be at 7. So
there's definitely a lot of costume stories in that next episode.
Will you join?
Physical stuff. I could join. There's
Okay,
some physical things that happened on set, but if I could just ask to maybe, like, if you guys just ask me at the front part, or maybe if I just come during a certain part.
Great. Well, let's return to the episode. Okay, so let's move on to next big section. If we're moving backwards, let's just
I think Shelly actually had something to say, John.
Oh,
It
Shelley.
wasn't that big of a deal. I just was going to say that song was called "Angst in My Pants" by the Sparks, and I just wondered if was she feeling all angsty about just everything?
Yeah, she was feeling angsty about everything. I get it. Like I get
I'm gonna
that moment
pop
was just a
out.
lash out moment.
I'm gonna pop out if you guys are okay. If there's any other questions you have, let me know and I'll stay for a few minutes more. But
Thanks,
I think
Val.
that I've answered.
Thanks for joining us, Val.
Thanks for joining
You're
us.
welcome, guys. Yeah, I'll try to pop in tomorrow. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Arrows.
Bye.
Great to have you.
Love you too. Bye, guys.
All right. So so
Can we talk
let's go
about the big thing?
Yeah, let's go to Truncheon Books. Let's just go straight there. I know that we have folks that are on the beanbags, just like eagerly awaiting the thoughts on this whole thing. I'm just going to start off by saying I'm 100% in Jess's corner on this one. I feel horrible for him. You know, I mean, I just don't get what Rory was thinking. Like,
You wanted her to speak out what she was thinking.
I get her state of mind. I get that, but like, that was just not cool.
She even said that she couldn't. She even made
Yeah.
a comment about not being able to cheat on him like he did on her. And it's like almost like she thought, I'll go there and maybe I'll do something I shouldn't do, that's really not fair to Jeff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I mean,
isn't it
that's
actually
how I read it.
that
That's
one?
exactly how I read it. It's like, why would you go all the way to Philadelphia and like alone, and clearly, you know, he's like, how would he not think that you're there to see him? And I mean, it's just that really bummed me out.
Yeah, that had to hurt.
Outgrown Rory. I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I would think that maybe she thought that, you know, he'd be up for something casual because they're so far apart and they have that history, that maybe she could try that casual thing again. But
Casual what? Casual just
like a casual fling with Jess. Like Jess would be okay with a
The
casual.
no strings thing that she did with Logan.
I know, but then
I
she would be officially cheating on Logan.
Yeah, and Jess has been in love with her forever. Why would she want to?
Yeah,
Yes.
why would she do that? First of all, why would she do that to Jess? He's definitely in love with her. And why would she do that to Logan? Like, I mean, I get that he slept with these women and that really hurt her. And we have a lot of questions as to whether or not like that was officially cheating or not officially cheating, but it doesn't matter. She got back together with him. And if she were to do anything with Jess here, she would be a total hypocrite.
In her heart, she feels like she was cheated upon.
Right. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. But I'm saying like just the idea that somebody would like be cheated on, and then they're like, well, then I feel like I can cheat on you.
Exactly. It
that's
doesn't
like,
make what
ugh.
she did fine. Because
And she
Yeah.
did cheat because she did kiss Jess. I think that is cheating
Well-
because she's with Luke.
Yes,
she
it is
pulled
fine.
away.
Well, she pulled away. She pulled away.
And Logan with Jess.
she did pull away, and I'm going to give her that. I'm going to give her that she pulled away and that she did not give in to that. I thought she was going to totally give into it.
I did.
I was hoping that she would pull away, and she did, or I was hoping she'd pull away a little sooner than that, but she didn't. But she did, and that's good enough. But then she reveals that like that she's still in love with Logan, that she really loves Logan, which then also tells us like exactly why, like that her whole like cold behavior that she's been having with him was also like to spite him, and that this whole thing was like coming to Philadelphia was also to spite the guy that she loves, which seems just and that's why like probably the best line in the episode was when Jess was like, that's this, I don't deserve this. Like,
yeah,
because he's absolutely right, he does not deserve that.
And honestly, I was just very impressed with the fact that Jess didn't just like blow up and get really angry.
No.
He maintained composure, he communicated his thoughts, and and I mean, she obviously was maybe a little bit like kind of taken aback and confused, and I think in that moment she realized what she had done. But I don't know, I thought it was really great to see how Jess responded, and that just showed his maturity at this point in his life.
Majorly. I mean, even all the way up to the last line, like this guy's been like completely crushed here, and still he's like worried about her walking to her car alone.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting too that he says, I mean, he was hinting at, so are you single? Because he said you came here alone. I think Rory could have told, but anyway, the interesting thing I think is when he said, I thought everything was fixed. And Rory replies with everything but him. So I don't know, the way I read it is that Rory's like, yeah, I can't help being in love with this guy, even though he's done all this bad to me. So does she think that Logan's not good for her, but she can't help loving him?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what she was saying. I don't know if she was saying he's not good for me. I think that she was saying I can't help loving him, even though he did this thing that really deeply hurt me, and I have the urge to hurt him back. And I've been doing it. I've been doing this. I've been doing that for the past several weeks in this one way. And I was actually considering going one step further and hurting him the way he hurt me, because she does see it as cheating. She still clearly does see it as cheating. And the biggest problem with that is that there's another person that is like an innocent bystander in this whole thing, which is Jess.
Could you have seen it as she's trying to reminisce, like she's trying to capture some old magic, and maybe that might be enough to get her to move on from Logan?
I think she kind of thinks that, but it doesn't really work out. I was going to ask Aris if he was a fan of the show before he was on it regularly, and if he watched it some after. What did you think about this particular thing since you watched it tonight? Another male perspective.
Yeah, I was a fan of the show before, and I did watch it. I don't know. I just feel so bad for Rory because she doesn't. I think about her not growing up with a dad, and just like the way she doesn't know how to find a man, and she's looking for that love, and so Logan cheated on her before this, right?
Yeah. Well,
right.
I mean, he says, I don't want to get too deep into that discussion.
There's controversy.
There's controversy as to whether or not he technically cheated on her. We don't need to go there.
Okay.
He slept with several women during a period where the two of them were not. They were not together, whether they were still technically together, but not. It doesn't matter. They did that. The most important part is Rory was very hurt by it. That's it.
Yeah.
And this is in response to Rory's hurt by it. Now, it may be, as Mary's pointing out, a response of, I want to try and find something good. I'm hurting right now. And this was this good thing at one point in my life. And and I want to go back there. Or it could be I am hurting from this person, and so I think I love this person, but I'm hurting so bad from them that I want to hurt them back in the same way. And I know there's this guy out there who will unwittingly help me do so because he is in love with me. And and that's, to me, that's just tough. For Jess, that's hard.
Of course, yeah. I mean, because he still wants to be with her, but I don't know what to say right now. It's so much.
I know it's deep.
Do you think Rory maybe sometimes is, or part of her reaction to this whole situation between her and Logan is the fact that growing up, her mom really wasn't in serious relationships, so she didn't see the example of how to handle situations like this? Or do you think she's just so mad at Logan about what she thought was a break and he thought was a breakup, that she's just really holding a hard grudge and trying to stick it to him a little bit?
Yeah, like that repeats that they didn't have a good example of relationships. That's constant in this whole series, and I think that's just a curse that they both have.
Yeah,
and also, John, we were talking last night after you dropped off about how Rory's nature is generally she's kind of passive and go with the flow, and every so often she does something really impulsive.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She snaps at people sometime out of nowhere, like being super sweet, and then suddenly she's yelling at her teacher, yelling at her grandmother. It's like she's an impulse. She is definitely. Rory definitely has some impulse control issues, for sure. I'm curious. I actually hadn't been thinking about this point, but I guess it's not. I guess it's a fair point to bring up. But how much does anybody think Rory's difficulty in relationships is that she didn't have a father figure growing up?
Me,
is
yeah.
I agree.
She's constantly looking for that too.
Or yeah, she didn't have a father figure, but I mean, or you could say she had a pretty weak father figure, right? Like,
well, he wasn't there all the time. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking that. I hadn't really thought about it until you mentioned it, Aris. But
yeah,
I think that it's fair.
She cheated on Dean with Jess. She cheated with Dean on his wife. Now she's kissing Jess when she's supposedly with Logan. She really has an issue with relationships in general.
Yeah, I mean, if her dad didn't commit to her mom, it's like, why commit? Why should she commit? That's the example that she has.
Her dad tried to commit to her mom.
Yeah, he kind of tried. Yeah.
Oh no, but I mean,
yeah. I think more than anything is just that, like, she hasn't. I think better than like the idea of a father figure, like having a man in her life that she could compare other men to. I think more important than that is she just didn't see a relationship in her life, right? Like she only had a mom who was single and didn't have relationships. So she definitely, I think that it's fair to say that she's just learning now what that even means.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the conflicts of relationships is a difficult thing for her, I think.
Right.
She doesn't always do it well.
The first relationship that she really saw her mother in was with Max, and how did that end? She just ran off and like bye, done.
Good
She
point.
didn't really handle it in a mature way.
For sure. And I mean, we also talked about that we think Lorelai also probably had very like, not relationships, but like men occasionally passed through their lives over the 16 years before, right? But it was just never like anything serious. Dating Max is not the first person
she said that she dated, but that Max was the first person that Rory ever called by his name. She had,
right. Yeah.
Everybody had like a little moniker.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, she had nothing to compare it to. Rory's had nothing to you know, she's had nothing to see, you know. I mean, she wasn't really around her grandparents that much when she was younger. She'd see them once in a while on holidays. So she didn't really see much of that relationship. And then her mother never really had relationships. So she didn't really have any idea of what relationships was. And then mom has this relationship with Max, and it's, you know.
Yeah.
Something else though that's happening with this visit to Philadelphia is that, you know, she's mad at Logan. She's like still dealing with her feelings. And then before she leaves, like Logan and company are talking about this ridiculous trip that is, you know, going to be dangerous, that doesn't really make any sense. It's frivolous. It seems a little privileged, you know, and she's like, what are you doing? Like, this is not adult behavior. Because she's asking all the safety questions and all of that. And I feel like the Jess invitation, like right after that, is like, oh, here's a person who like actually has goals and like is fulfilling them. I'm going to go see what that's like. And I feel like the two things juxtaposed is really important, because she then sort of gets a sense of like, okay, like this is a person who's doing the thing that I wanted to do, which is, you know, write something, make something, you know, make a mark. But like her boyfriend's off like jumping out of a plane in Costa Rica. So it's like, I think that's her moment. I think that's what's happening here, is that she's sort of looking at the other path that she's not on, or that the you know, the man that she's with is not on.
Right. Let me ask you though. So she has that invitation. She's feeling all those feelings. She's thinking all of those things. Does she in that moment, do you think that she is thinking about her love for Logan? Like, if she's considering like reminiscing or going back and seeing what that life is like, or to, you know, see what that path might have been, is she thinking, I'm in love with Logan and I'm about to like go take a look at this old path, this other thing that I could have been on?
I actually don't think she's thinking of Jess like that in that moment. I think she's thinking of this person who's in her life who, you know, did the thing that she kind of wanted to do. And, you know, she's proud of him. I actually think she's very proud of him. And so decides like, you know what, screw it. My boyfriend and I are fighting because he cheated on me in her head. You know, that's what it is. And she's still mad about it. And also now he's doing this really stupid thing because we're in this fight. So screw it. I'm just gonna go see and see my old friend. I
You really don't think that she doesn't. Okay, I guess the better question is, does she in that moment think that Jess still has feelings for her?
I think she'd be stupid not to feel like, not to think that. Like, I think that's obvious, you know, that she knows what she's getting into.
So exactly.
I don't think she is. Yeah.
So that's the part of it, right? Because because I can totally buy that. Like I actually not only buy it, I think that has to be a huge part of why she wants to go there. But there are two parts. One is she is in love with Logan, despite him jumping out of planes, despite how frustrating he's been lately, and despite how annoying of a life he seems to have in, you know, like from her current perspective. She's in love with him. She said it. I totally buy that she is. And she also knows that Jess is in love with her. And just that's just the part of the whole thing to me that makes it like, that I makes it selfish of her to want to see that path again.
Well, yeah,
to reminisce with an old friend.
I don't think you're wrong. I think that she goes there and she kind of has like, it's almost like a litmus test. Like, oh, like it's, you know, I mean, I don't think she went there thinking like, I'm gonna go make out with Jess. Like, I don't think that at all.
I don't think that.
When the moment happens, she's just like, oh shoot, like this is, you know, like nope, like this is how I feel. Like I'm not, like I'm beyond this relationship.
Sabrina had
Yeah.
a good point.
Yeah.
She said whenever Rory feels neglected, she rebounds to the person that makes her feel loved.
Right, exactly. That's exactly it. And that's the part that is truly unfair to Jess.
Absolutely.
Really, because she knows because then that means that she's really truly using Jess, or even if you want to just call it their time together, the thing that she wants to reminisce over, she's using that for her own benefit, even though she's got to be smart enough to understand that it's going to make Jess sad. You know, because he does love her and he would absolutely love to be with her. And if she doesn't walk in from the get-go and say something, she doesn't have to like say, I'm with somebody else, but like, you know, just in the first idle chatter, she makes it clear, I'm still with Logan, which she didn't do on purpose. Then that's just not fair to that guy. And it serves that particular need that she has, which is like, I want to feel loved again. This guy will do it for me.
Well, you know, it's interesting because there are a lot of situations in that episode where people aren't really being honest about their motives and their feelings. You know, you have Lorelai's parents who are going out of their way not to tell her what they're doing in Stars Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
You have Luke, who kind of awkwardly introduces Rory to April, you know, and trying to explain to April that, well, he's engaged to Rory's mother, and that comes out kind of awkwardly. I mean, everybody's just kind of hiding their feelings and being kind of dishonest. And, you know, maybe that's where, you know, you have real Paul Anka and dog Paul Anka. What's real?
Oh
What's
my
not?
gosh, that's
What's
right.
dream? What's not?
That is right. Oh my gosh. So wait, we have to talk about the dream. Aris, I know we're at 8:30, and if you need to get going, I totally understand. We usually go a little over because we end up just getting super sucked into conversation. But if you have to get going,
I'm gonna stay on for like 10-15 more minutes.
Awesome.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that dream. That dream was super weird, and I actually forgot. I meant to say it while it was happening. I meant to just be like, "Hey, anybody who's watching this right now, can you please psychoanalyze this thing for us so that we can talk about it afterwards?" Because I just didn't have time to put any brain power into that. But I feel like there's got to be something in that dream that is like in some way majorly thematic to the episode. And then before we like move off of Jess, like off this Jess moment, like completely, I do want to say to the Team Jess fans, like, this is about as close as I've been to wanting to be on Team Jess, because
that's when I switched.
This is where it got me too.
He's pretty cool in this episode. And I've said before that like a big part of why I can like a character, not like a character, is whether I can sort of see like, you know, so a common thread, like something that I could imagine myself like, you know, having in common with them and like potentially being a friend. And this Jess, I could imagine being a creative collaborator with a Jess like that. Like I really could. I think that I could like collaborate. We could work on a really cool project together. He seems really, really cool. And I loved I love the arc that they've had for the character. I think it's been really interesting.
He's really grown up.
He's too good for Rory now.
You know, he's really matured. Like more than Rory. I mean, Rory's kind of gone backwards. It's weird. I don't know, but you know, he's really grown up. He's changed, you know, and matured quite a bit. And
that little hug that he has with Luke was just the most awesome hug ever. It was just family. It really felt like family. Like I hadn't seen that from the Jess character ever in the series. So anyway, that was really nice. That was really exciting.
But
and
at
what
this
a cool
point though,
he's
Hmm.
actually better than Rory.
Oh yeah.
So Rory
Absolutely. Yes,
doesn't
I
suck.
agree.
Yeah.
So that's why I could never really say I'm a team Jess person, because before I don't think Jess deserves Rory, but now Rory doesn't deserve Jess. So they're
Yep.
just not, the timing is just not right for
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I
consider
agree.
teams as who I think she should be with. I consider my team as the person that I like the most of the guys she dates.
Yeah, same.
Got it. Got it. That's interesting.
It's a testament to Milo and his acting for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes, it
So
is. It
Eris,
really is.
how was it playing a scene with Kurt? That looked
Oh,
like
yeah.
so
Oh yeah,
much
we must
fun.
know that. Oh, of course it was fun. I mean, haven't really got to work with him before that. I think I'm not sure if I remember, but that was really fun. And
Do you know Sean?
I mean,
Like outside of work?
um, no, not really. I mean, I worked with James. James and I did a short film where he played my uncle in this 48-hour film festival here, and then Sean showed up there too. So
James.
yeah,
James Gunn?
yeah, James Gunn, yeah. I know you're friends with
Oh.
him too, John.
Oh
'Cause
yeah, way back. You're talking about like way back when we were doing the 48-hour film festival.
Yeah, the Instant Films it was called.
Instant Films.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh my.
'Cause,
goodness.
have you
That
done
was-
one of those? Have you
I
done?
did.
it?
I directed one many years.
Well, the guy LeBeau is I went to college with LeBeau, one of the founders. Yeah, so it was funny because I met James Gunn on that, and I didn't know who he was even. Like we were talking and we were talking about all these people that we knew. He mentioned you. I was like, oh yeah, he's on Gilmore Girls. That's my brother's on Gilmore Girls, and Michael Rosenbaum. I did a movie with him. Like James Gunn knows everybody. I mean, you know that. You're good friends with him,
That's
right?
funny. That's
Yeah.
funny. What and James ended up going, like leaving the Instant Films and becoming a household name. So
Yeah,
Instant Film,
some
Instant
people know
Film,
who he is.
Instant Films was really good for his career.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah. Other than that, just work. Sometimes I've seen him around, but no, I wasn't friends with Sean at all.
Cool.
Mhm.
Um,
But working with him was fun. I mean, like he's a fun guy. He has great imagination. He's very playful. I mean, like everything he does is awesome.
I love how you snatched that hairnet off and ran off with it.
But that was my favorite hairnet.
was that improvised?
I
or
don't remember. I'm not. I don't remember. I can't, to be honest.
Would it
because
be
there was very
fair
little
to say-
improv in the show, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would it be fair to say if there's a line, chances are it was an improv, right? Because like Sean says, that's my favorite hairnet.
Oh,
so
that's right.
probably
Yeah.
written,
That's right. You're right. It
yeah,
was written. It
I
was
mean,
written, yeah.
like Sean would say, Sean would be the first to say that nothing on that show was improvised, and also Sean would be the first to say that he loved that. Sean in particular really liked the rigidity of the show. He liked that everything was exact and whatnot. So Sean wouldn't actually have even wanted to improvise a line. So I can't imagine that Sean would just throw in a line of his own, just because I think that he would, like, out of principle, he wouldn't have done it. He might have talked to Dan, who was on set as the director, and Dan might have told him, "Hey, I want to add this one line in there."
But Aris, what about the dancing? You dance often in the shows. Was those scripted or was it something that you brought?
I mean, no, they told me to dance, do something. They just told me to dance in the, I think they did. Yeah, they had to. Yeah.
You had
You're
that.
talking about the
around
scene
there.
where you're dancing in the diner after hours?
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay,
scene,
yeah.
When they got
that scene was so like specifically directed. They would have had to have told you.
Yeah.
I think it was under the boardwalk, right?
Yes, that was the
Mhm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Eris, do you happen to know which number Caesar you were? Because I know before you actually showed up as Caesar on the show, they referred to Caesar in the
Mhm.
diner here and there. And they
Yeah.
always seem to be different people.
Including Robert Lee, who was in the diner
Yeah.
this episode.
I really don't know. I mean, I all I can say is I think Robert talked about it this past Fan Fest, where he goes, they had that was a background guy the last season, and they just called him Caesar because he didn't really say. Oh no, actually he was credited. He was credited. You're right, but no, I don't know.
Well, you're the best, Caesar.
Oh, thank you.
And we love your dancing.
Our favorite Caesar.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay.
We're
A lot of us,
amazing.
a lot of us are big fans of the side characters or the townspeople because they're
Mhm.
they're just so much fun when they're on screen. So
Well,
that's
yeah.
we get very excited when we get to see different towns.
That's what's so great about the show is that, like, like, besides the main people, but it's so fun to add all these colors and the way like earlier I was gonna say that Amy and Dan they start writing to you. I mean, did you feel that way, John? Like they kind of wrote to your strengths
Yeah,
as an actor?
for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. As the show got deeper in, I definitely got the sense that they kind of picked up on the aspects of my performance that were the most fun, and they wrote things that would allow me to do a little bit more of that, for sure. So how about that dream? What was that? Like what was the idea there? Was it that like this idea of what's real and what isn't, and what are what are real emotions and what aren't real emotions, like keeping things like keeping your feelings hidden?
I have some thoughts on this.
Is the idea that that dog Paul Anka represents how she's behaving, and real Paul Anka represents how she's feeling, which they're both Paul Ankas, but they're both different Paul Ankas. And oh man, it's a little too that one's really
a good
hard.
one.
This one's gonna be tough.
I'm not sure I'm following you there, but I have some thoughts.
All right.
So we know that Paul Anka, the dog, was kind of like a Rory replacement, for lack of, I'm not saying the dog replaces Rory, but while they were apart, that's when she got the dog to try and help fill a void. So if you think of the dog Paul Anka being Rory, could we not think of the human Paul Anka being April? And that, so because if you think about the dream, when the dog Paul Anka and the person Paul Anka meet, there's like that explosion, right? And it's like the world kind of implodes. So because Rory represents the world of like the Gilmore or the Stars Hollow side of Luke's world. And then April is this other part of Luke's world, and he's trying to keep them separate. And so if we think about the point where Rory and April meet, which could also symbolize like Lorelai coming into meeting April as well, that it could be like this implosion of the two worlds. I don't know, maybe I'm totally out there.
No, I mean,
Wow,
that makes a lot of sense. And think about in the middle there, there's Emily playing Go Fish with this girl that she thinks is April, but it's not April.
Well, and Nikki, also going with that theory, is Rory was kind of like Luke's dog daughter, if you want to make any sense. Like
exactly,
it
yeah,
wasn't
she's
really
like another
his
daughter.
Right. So then Paul Anka, if that's April, is the real daughter for Luke.
Yeah, I like that. I like
That's
that.
really very interesting. That I'm getting. That I'm totally getting. So Paul Anka, I think, is April, and no, sorry, the real Paul Anka is April, and dog Paul Anka is Rory.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. No, I'm just repeating this like out loud to myself. I'm giving you full credit. You guys. I'm not. Okay. No, I'm just trying to. I'm trying to play it out to see if there's any other things here that we might pull out of some
We'll
of
have
that.
to
right?
ask Stacy later about this, what she thinks.
Because then what's weird though. So then the thing that's interesting is that like that dog Paul Anka, that real Paul Anka keeps in her dream keeps being put or is in situations where it should be the dog, where it seems more normal that it would be the dog Paul Anka.
Correct.
But with the real Paul Anka, it's extremely bizarre, right? So it's like with the real Paul Anka, you know, Babette, him sitting in Babette's lap and her scratching him makes absolutely no sense. So if we say that April is the real Paul Anka, then this dream is about how April doesn't seem to fit into all of this world that Lorelai has built up.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And especially when, you know, in the episode when Emily's playing cards with Cece and she says like, you know, there's no chance that you would see her like and get to have a relationship with her because I don't. And so we all know that we tend to dream about things on a subconscious level, right, that are on our mind. And, you know, this is a big thing of what's on her mind. And she doesn't like that he's keeping these two worlds separate.
And so is it a foreshadowing because Real and Doug Paul Anka do meet, as in Rory and April do meet at Truncheon?
Yeah, I find that interesting.
Yeah,
that's right.
It could be, yeah.
That's
now
right.
the world didn't like go up and
implode,
a burst of light and implode,
or not in an obvious way, perhaps.
But you know what? Luke was really uncomfortable. I don't think
Yeah,
Luke
I know.
wanted that.
No, he was not happy about that.
Oh wow.
I think that's probably because Luke realized that he had never really told April very much about Lorelai and like that world, you know, he's almost caught red-handed, like, oh, now I'm gonna have to explain who Rory is, and you know, wants April to understand that. But I mean, of course, everything ends up working out because you see April and Rory just conversing, you know, like they're old friends. But
well, not just that, but how's Luke gonna how's Lorelai gonna take that Rory got to meet April before she did, just like on an off chance?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Well, no, because she already met her, quote unquote, at the diner. But that explanation that he gave, she's the daughter of the woman I'm engaged to, my fiance, who you met that one time. Like, she's gonna be your stepdaughter. Like, just say this is my future stepdaughter. Like, he just couldn't think in that moment.
But I think, like Diane said, it just like goes to show how he literally hasn't said anything to April about her, which is just so awkward. And I guess what doesn't make sense to me is like April is a smart kid. So it's weird to me that she didn't say like, you're engaged? Like, how do I not know this? Like, and you're about to have a stepdaughter? Yeah. How do I not know this? Like,
yeah,
what else are you hiding from me? What else are you keeping from me? It's not exactly like a great start to a new relationship. And I mean the relationship between Luke and April, right? Like going in, like keeping things from her, like.
Well, like he's keeping the engagement from April.
Yeah, he hasn't even like really been honest with her, but you know, I'm marrying this woman.
Well, she definitely knows now.
But that's the thing. I don't think
Well,
has
in
he
a
been
way,
keeping that he's engaged.
I don't. We really didn't see that card
because he mentioned his fiance in front of her tonight. Like, it didn't seem like it was odd to mention his fiance.
No, for the first time, though.
But
yeah,
she
it was
didn't
very
look
awkward
at,
the way
she
he
didn't
mentioned
look
it.
at them like it was the first time she was hearing it.
Yeah, I think it might have been just the first time we were hearing it.
Yeah, and but the other thing is, remember that, you know, earlier in the episode, you know, here's April having to, you know, tell Luke, her dad, about, you know, this boy she likes, and that was weird and awkward. And now here's Luke telling, you know, mentioning his fiance. April, and that's kind of weird and awkward. You know, I mean, who's the teenager? You know, and who's you know, again, it goes back to this: what's real and what's not.
Yeah. I like that. That makes a lot of sense to me. This idea that like the real Paul Anka represents April, and dog Paul Anka represents Rory, and the real Paul Anka represents the truth, and dog Paul Anka represents, I guess, the things that they're hiding from.
I think a deep dive into that whole scene would be a good fast talk for somebody.
Yeah, right.
You're so right.
You should.
I think that mostly
Whoever
covers.
said it should do it. I don't talk. I'm not good.
I think that mostly covers the episode. Were there any big things that we wanted to go over before we end here?
Yeah, John, I think Elle had something she wanted to share earlier, but we kind of got off topic before she got to share it. Can we,
Elle,
if she still
please.
wants to, can we hear what she has to say?
Oh, thank you. That's okay. We're well past it.
What is it?
I just
What is
wanted
it?
to. Oh, it's nothing important. I was just gonna add to the whole Rory and Jess conversation, and that's
we're not that far. We're not that far away from that. We're
It's
not that
nothing.
far away.
I think it was already covered, really, though.
Oh, okay. That Rory was very unfair to Jess. No, I'm just kidding.
He wants to hear what you have to say, Elle.
Yes.
But really, what a glow up for Jess to be like, you're not going to do this to me.
Exactly.
I love that. That was so good.
It's different for him.
I did get
You know?
a message from Lee on the beanbags earlier that she wanted me to read, but I kind of we got off track. But
Well, why don't you read that and we'll end on that note.
Can
Literally,
I just
it's
ask
it's a note.
question before that happens?
Yes,
Sure,
please.
I want to know, Aris, if you think that being in charge of Luke's has changed Caesar's like future. He's not gonna be a restaurant.
No, I think it made him think about that he was going to be this in the business longer. I think it taught him that he could take on the responsibility, that he could come up with ideas, and he could do the job. You know, he was put into that responsibility, and I think it made him grow up a little bit more.
What kind of restaurant do you think that Caesar will one day have, like if he has his own restaurant?
It would be fusion American food and with like Latin food fusion.
Yummy.
You know,
I was thinking something a little bit more like a Sizzler with like a big salad bar, and it would be called it would be called Caesar salad.
I would want Caesar salad over the regular
Yeah,
Caesar salad.
he came up with Caesar's salad.
Well, yeah, it would be a lot of stuff on the menu would be my versions of stuff that already exists.
Oh my
And
gosh,
someone
that's
else can
awesome.
deal with the customers.
What was that?
Aris, I have one question for you.
Yes.
So I don't know if you recall, but before you were the Caesar that we know, there was other Caesars briefly mentioned. So do you think your name is actually Caesar in the show, or do you think that Luke just uses the general term Caesar for his right-hand man at the diner?
I think that's hilarious, but that would be great. But I think my name is Caesar, but I like that. I like what you just said.
That would be funny.
That is funny, but it would go against the idea that like he's created this thing called the Caesar salad, because he specifically says that it's
you're right.
it's because his name is Caesar. But that I think that's a funny theory.
Unless Caesar's has just decided to embrace the new name and take it on as his identity.
Just because that's what Luke always calls
I was
him.
like, sure, I just wanted the job, so I'm like, yeah, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah.
I'll take up Caesar.
we're now officially, here at Marcus, we are going to strip you, Aris, of your character's name. It no longer, you no longer had a name on the show. You are a nameless character. we have great power here at Marcus.
Look what you've done. I didn't mean it that way.
I'm kidding.
Come on, no. It's not so great.
So, Aris, who's your favorite character on the show? Is it Luke?
No, it's Kirk.
Yeah.
Kirk
is a favorite.
He
should.
Yeah, of course he is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, should we hear this powerful letter written by
It's really short, actually.
Lee from the Beanbags?
She said, I believe it's when she sleeps with Dean, but she could be wrong, that there is a time when Lorelai is criticizing Rory for her relationship issues, and Rory responds by saying that Lorelai set an example by sleeping with Chris while he was with Sherry. So Rory definitely chooses to pick which relationship she has seen. So that was it.
Yes, but also with that, Rory says that Lorelai did it when he was married, and they weren't even engaged at that point because he didn't know that she was pregnant yet. So they weren't even engaged, and he said that he was moving out. So was it wrong? Absolutely, but she technically was not cheating. In her mind, he was, because she.
You muted yourself
My
literally
son
on your
was-
last sentence.
I was in my son's room. I got kicked out.
No, that's funny.
First, I got kicked out of the bedroom. Then I got kicked out of his room. Now I'm going to bed. So love you all. Good night.
All right. I think that's a good note. That's a good note for us to end. Aris, dude, thank you for coming and joining us tonight. This was a lot of fun.
My pleasure. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
It was
awesome.
Thank you, Aris. Please.
You are a member.
Back on any
Yeah, you are a
episode.
member of the Remarcus family. Anytime you want to come back, we would
Oh,
love.
thank
to
you.
be prepared.
Will you be at the fan fest?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
you are the true Caesar in our hearts.
you are the true Caesar.
Totally.
Hail Caesar!
Have a good night, Aris. Thank you.
Good
for
night,
coming.
everybody. Thank you, guys.
Good night, Aris.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
All right, that was a lot of fun.
That was
I am
great,
going
John.
to. Yeah, he's just absolutely wonderful. That guy. I'm going to open up the couch and allow any folks who would like to come up for post show, come on up, and then I will be heading out myself. The hand raising is now open for anybody. Lee, if you want to come up here and either explain your letter better or reprimand me for my terrible use of the couch, you can do that.
Hello. Your terrible use of the couch.
Yeah. Well, no, that like or constantly like forgetting to open up
it
the
up.
couch.
Raise your
Um,
hand. I'm not open.
Yeah,
I
don't
know.
have much more to say
I
on
do
my.
have-
Go on, John.
No, I was just gonna say there's just a lot. I'm thinking about like 100 different things there well, maybe that's hyperbole, but I'm juggling a lot, so I always forget something.
Is tomorrow night the night of the dinner party movie?
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes, tomorrow is the dinner party. Nick is joining that watch. It's going to be at 5, and then at 7 we've got Oh, actually, you know what? That just reminds me. The dinner party's happening at from 5 to I would imagine close to 7, if not 2 7. So that means that it's really not an option for us to move the episode to 6 for Todd. So I will just tell Todd that he is going to join us for something else. Do you remember if there were any more big band episodes before the end of this season?
There's probably at least one more really good episode with Keiko and him.
Yeah, but
I
is
have to-
is it before the end of this season? Because I mean, tomorrow's Friday, and then we end on Sunday. We end season 6 on Sunday, so that's only 3 more episodes. Everyone's like scrambling.
No, I don't
looking
remember if
to-
there's any for this season because they go off on their honeymoon.
They
Right.
get married. Go
when,
off.
when they return, maybe.
But that's
Yeah,
next
so
season.
season 7 is the next opportunity for us to have them back if they'll come, if their schedules permit. Obviously, both of them are pretty busy these days. So tomorrow, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to move it for him. So we won't be able to have Todd with us. But we did have a nice week of guests. So hopefully that's hopefully everyone is into that.
It's been really fun.
Absolutely.
I've loved everyone that's popped in.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna head out. I've made moderators out of a few folks here, and I will be back tomorrow at 7. I'm gonna try and make it for the dinner party as well. And thank you once again for watching. This was a really good episode, and a really good one for me to watch, being somebody who's been so tough on Jess.
Oh, it was
throughout the
lovely.
series. It was like you liked that part, didn't you, Lee?
I have to say, it was very refreshing to hear everyone going, "Oh, poor Jess."
Thanks, John.
Yeah. Okay, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Or
Good
hear
night,
you tomorrow.
John. Good
Good
night.
night.
Take care, John.
Good night.
Take care.
Thanks
Good
as
night.
always.